Good morning everybody, it's Graham again from Unearthed, and it's another episode of Detecting Talk. Well, let's get straight to it, no preparation, let's just dive straight in there and see how we get on. As usual, no preparation on these talks, comes into my head, I relate it to you guys, and you give me either good, bad or indifferent feedback, and that's what it's all about. So this particular episode is regarding our Unearthed dig on Sunday. What a fantastic success. I really enjoy doing these organised digs for our customers, and it's just our way of saying thank you to you guys that use Unearthed as their detecting outlet, and you buy our your machines off us, which is very, very heartwarming. And we run these organised digs maybe 3, 4, 5 times a year, just to say thank you for your custom. And it's our way of meeting everybody and getting together with like-minded folk and having a really good day out in the field. Now, some of you guys would have seen the video or the film from Sunday just gone, and there were some really nice finds made. What disappointed me was the fact that I didn't capture everybody's coins and artifacts, which is a real shame. I missed out on some really nice milled silver coins. Gaz, who I detect with, my detecting partner, he found a really nice Victorian, unusual Victorian silver brooch with stones and colours and all sorts of weird and wonderful things going on in there, patterns, etc. So I couldn't get round everybody because we had a little bit more people on this dig this time. It was difficult to get round everybody, and you miss people, you don't get a chance to sit down and talk with everybody. It's just impossible because people are pulling you from pillar to post with different issues or different questions, or you want to get round everybody and make sure that they're all doing the right thing, but they're spread out over a huge area. So it's quite difficult for us to keep on top of it in so much as speaking to everybody. So if I didn't get round to speaking to every single person on the dig, apart from right at the start when we got everybody together just to go through the rules, I do apologise, but I'm only one person spread between 40 or 50 of you guys, so it's difficult for me to get round everybody. So it was a great success. There were some fantastic coins found. Gordon Russell's short cross penny was probably the best hammered, although I did see another couple of short cross coming up, Elizabethan hammered coins. There was quite a few cut halves come up, which is unusual. We don't usually find as many cut halves in Cumbria, so that was quite interesting. All short cross as well, and there was some really interesting artifacts come up. There was a nice silver watch fob, and happy days. It was just a fantastic opportunity to meet everybody. There was plenty of cakes flying around so people could eat. One of the ladies from over the border, Enid, she brought some cake down and biscuits homemade that she produced a couple of days or a day earlier. Everybody enjoyed them. Melanie made carrot cake and Victoria sponge cake, and we had all that. Chris Kirk brought cakes at the end. Everybody went on caked up. It was just great news. It was fantastic. Oh, and you're waiting for me to say however, aren't you? Well, I am. I'm going to say however. However, there's always something, isn't there? There's always, nothing in life ever goes straight forward. Nothing in life ever goes straight forward. Certainly not in my life anyway. So it was a wonderful day, anything else, but there was a downside to it. And the downside was, when I was in the field later on in the afternoon, I was getting messages coming through my mobile, because I was talking to small groups of people and seeing what they find, making a little bit of a film of what they've found for you guys to see. And I was getting some rather disturbing messages coming through about people leaving craters and big holes. They're not filling the holes in, Graham. You need to get out on this field here. You need to come over where the sheep are. You need to get over by the church. You need to be looking here. And what it boils down to is the fact that there was 1 or 2 individuals on the dig that just were not listening to the rules. They were leaving a mess behind them. And of course, the other detectorists, how do I put it? The detectorists that have a bit of a conscience about this sort of thing were having to go behind them, wasting their own time and energy to fill their holes in. Now, I seen one big crater that somebody had made, and I was there when he filled it in. And the reason why he made such a big crater is because he didn't have a pinpoint probe. So he couldn't locate the object. So he ended up digging and digging and digging. On clean pasture such as them fields, it's a no-go to dig deep holes like that. It's just ridiculous. And they can blame the detectors and they can blame the coils for not pinpointing correctly and everything else, but at the end of the day it's down to them. And we're the ones that have got to pick up the pieces when the farmer comes over potentially and saying, the hell's that? Oh, are you digging to Australia? So I was disappointed to find that there was people on that dig that were not tidying up after themselves properly. Okay, there's an area of soil that's going to be left outside the hole. When it rains, that disappears. A couple of days later, you can hardly tell there's anybody been there, which is fine to a point. But when people are not stamping down the holes properly and leaving a mess, but not only that, leaving junk in there as well, bits of iron on the top and bits of scrap copper or whatever it could be, that tells me there's a problem. So how do we deal with it? Now, running a small business like this is stressful enough without having to think extra about how we run the future organised digs. So I've come up with an idea of maybe doing a small, I mean, I don't want to do it, but I mean, maybe we've got to do it, a small group discussion about how to dig a hole properly and fill it back in. Do I have to bring a spade with me in the field and show people how to dig a hole properly and fill it in? Sounds patronising, doesn't it? You know, standing there like having a load of school children around you watching me fill a hole in properly, but it's that serious. People are not doing it properly. I think I can understand to a degree that people are frantic to get detected, they're frantic to make finds, so they're digging, they're getting the find out, and then they're moving on quickly without spending just that little bit of time tidying up after themselves. There might be an element of that kicking in, but it's no excuse. There's no excuse this day and age, and the people that we've got in the groups, we know every single one of them, they're good people. Or we know most of them, you know, all of them are our customers, but we only speak to some of them, or a percentage of them over the phone, and when they come on the dig, it's the first time I meet them personally. But to let them go and make a mess tells me there's a problem. So I hope, you can't even point fingers at anybody. There's one, you know, people saying, oh, it was him there, I think it was this guy. I need to catch them in the act. I need to catch them in the act doing it. So from now on, I don't detect on our digs, on our unearthed organised digs. I don't detect. I wander around talking to people, and the reason why is because people wander onto the wrong land at times. So we need to be aware of that. I need to make sure everybody's doing what they should be doing. So imagine if I was detecting alongside these people in one particular field, and there was 10 fields to go. I'd miss a lot. I'd probably miss a lot of potential hazards out there of people not filling the bloody holes in. But saying that, I stamped down about 6 or 7, properly stamped them down that were up. And of course, with sheep on there, the sheep could come along and lift them back up, and then we've got problems. But I obviously didn't do my job right because I didn't see it all. I missed a lot of these holes that were a mess, and of course you can't get around every field looking. So I'm gonna have to get some marshals. I think I'm gonna have to ask one or two of the guys that I know and trust to maybe walk around with a high-vis vest on, like some of these digs do, and say, I'm here, I'm a marshal, I'm watching what things, you know, what's going on. Maybe me and Melanie just can't do it on our own now, because maybe because we're getting that popular, there's too many, you know, maybe we just need to back it off to 30 to 35 instead of 40 to 45 people. That's an option. So it lessens the chances of people making a mess. But if there's anybody watching this that was on the dig on Sunday, please, 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 on the next one, fill your holes in, because we have got some really interesting digs lined up for the future. So, for example, I'm going to go and meet some landowners next week about the next unearthed organised dig. And, you know, I don't make any money out of it. I don't make a penny out of it. I just drive up there, meet the farmer, drive back, 3 hours there, an hour and a half there, an hour and a half back. So 3 hours of my time to go and meet these landowners. And I enjoy them. It's my way of saying thanks to you guys for buying your detectors off us. It's the only way we do it. We don't do it for financial reward. You know, if you just want to buy things off us when you're there, we bring it with us, okay, there's that element of it, but we don't make a penny out of it. It's all giving it back to you guys to enjoy a day out and find some good stuff. So we do a lot of research. We make sure we're putting people in the right area, potentially, and then you go out and do the business and find the stuff. And I get a great deal of satisfaction out of seeing people shouting me over, hey, look at this, and it's great. It's almost like you're detecting yourself. It's almost as good as the finds that you make, watching other people make. I get a lot of satisfaction out of that, watching what people are finding. And of course I get my, you know, I find plenty of coins and artifacts when I go off on my own adventures, so I don't really need to be detecting anyway. It's just good to see people finding things. But when they make a bloody mess, that's when it becomes a problem. And of course, you know, you need to tell people about the boundaries. You get people wandering off into their own fields, which can be a pain in the backside at times. So we've got to make sure we do the right thing. I don't know how you feel. I mean, some of you guys out there that watch these YouTube channels and the Detecting Talk episodes go on rallies and digs. So maybe you can relate some of your own experiences and let me know in the comments below, because it would be good to know how some of these other digs operate. I mean, I don't want to be walking around like a sergeant major in the field. Detecting is about enjoyment. It's about relaxation, out in the fresh air in the fields, enjoying your hobby, an innocent hobby like detecting and finding coins and artifacts. That's all it's about. It's all about enjoyment. So I don't want to be marshalling around giving everybody the eye saying fill that in properly, but I've got to start thinking of that way because people are making a mess. It's not on. And of course, our Facebook group, our I can't even see it, Unearthed Organised Dig page, I put a comment on there a couple of days ago saying there was a bit of, you know, there was a few holes that were left untidy, and I was getting quite a lot of comments back of people that were on the dig that had to stamp them down afterwards. And a couple of individuals such as Hazel, she took some pictures of some mess that people had made, and it doesn't reflect good on us. So there's going to be changes. There's going to be changes to that. There's going to be, we may have to say to people when we're on pasture, bring a probe, bring a pinpointer, so you're not having to dig big holes, scratching around, trying to find the signal. You've got your pinpointer, you turn it on, you stick it in the hole, it takes you to the target. There's none of this digging out extra soil. So that might become a rule. Another rule I noticed that one or two people weren't using headphones, I don't think. Got one or two complaints about people making a noise out in the field with bleeping all over the place while people try to concentrate. So we may have to make another rule, you know, rules about people using headphones on our digs. But I don't want to cram too many rules and regulations in there, because I want it to remain an enjoyment for people, you see. So it's difficult, isn't it? But I was a bit dismayed on the Monday when I got the reports back, and the Sunday when I was out in the field, about people telling me that it was a bit of a mess in certain fields, and they'd corrected it off their own backs, which is fantastic news. Imagine if they didn't have them people, we didn't have them people, and they were just leaving them, we'd have a right problem on our hands. You're detectorists, you're responsible detectorists, you should be able to clean up after yourselves. And at the start of the dig, I did tell everybody, leave this field and this farm as you found it, and then they didn't do that. So we're going to have to start picking and choosing what's going on these digs. And if I catch anybody, I'm just going to have to ban them. And as bad as it sounds, they're going to have to be told, you can't come again because you're making a mess. You're spoiling it for everybody else. So let me know your thoughts on that, folks. It's obviously a problem. It's obviously a problem. I know it must happen on other digs. I'm sure you guys are going to say to me, I went on a dig last week and what a mess. You know, I ended up having to pick the scrap up after them that was left on the surface. And it doesn't just happen on pasture. It must happen on arable and ploughed land on these digs as well, or stubble, that people just leave holes wide open. It's just not right. So let me know your thoughts on it. It'd be fantastic to hear from you and your thoughts on the subject. Staying on the theme of the organised digs, we only hold them for unearthed customers. So we're getting a lot of messages now asking, because obviously we put the film up, people are watching the film and enjoying looking at it, which is good. We do that for a reason. We do it because we want to show you guys what we're about, and the people that attended can look back fondly at the finds that they made on the day. But we only do it for unearthed customers. So if you bought a machine 10 years ago off us, we've got to start looking after our modern customers, if that makes sense, our recent customers, so they get first priority. You know, you might have bought 5 or 6 machines off another dealer, which is fine, but you're not going to get priority to come on the digs, unfortunately. You know, we've got to look after our customers, and it's our way of saying thanks. Now, it does sound like we're a bit close shoppish, and I don't want to be sounding like that, but it's for unearthed customers. It's our way of saying thanks. You know, we don't, you know, we had one guy, I'll use it as a case study, we had one guy who badgered me for the last 2 or 3 weeks about coming on our digs. Wasn't a customer of ours. And you can't come on it. You can't come on it. He bought his machines off eBay, second hand. I tried to give him a good deal. I offered him a good deal on a detector one time over. He didn't take it, he went to eBay instead. but then he's breaking his neck to come on our digs, you know, to have a 3 days digging, not 3 days digging, but a day's digging out in the fields. It doesn't work like that. We've got to make sure we look after our customers. And if that means leaving people out that are buying their machines off eBay and then wanting to come on the digs, well, so be it. So it does sound harsh, but that's the way we operate. So it's for Unearthed customers only, and it's going to remain that way. We're not going to go into the dig business. We're not going to start running these huge, ridiculously sized rallies of 150, 200 people where they're just money-making machines on tired old land. We're not like that. We're detectorists. We want you to experience what I experience out in the field, finding coins and artifacts. And if we can do it this way, using this model, we'll continue to do it for the foreseeable future. Now, we have got, like I said, some good digs coming up. We have got some interesting digs coming up. The couple of farms that I've just gained permission of are in interesting areas. We just need to make sure, as a team, that we get together and we find the history of that farm. The farmer and his wife are extremely interested in their particular farm, the history surrounding it. What better way of uncovering that history than us getting out with the detectors, acting responsibly, and finding the coins and artifacts that exist. So she'll be happy to see them, he'll be happy to see them, we'll be happy to show them, and let's really go for it. And that's the beauty of this group, is because the vast majority of them are like-minded people and they want to get out there and find the history of that particular area. It's a fantastic opportunity for us to do it. And then leading from that, there's another couple of farms that I've got to still visit about having potential digs in the future on their land. And it's in historic areas. The farms date back to the sort of 1600s, but there's, you know, there's old ground on there. There's old features on the land, shall we say, without giving too much away. There's no, there's no archaeological sensitive areas on the farm, so we don't have to be careful of that, which is good news. And it's just a good day out enjoying yourself. And the next one, I'm hoping to get up and running in the next couple of weeks, and I may bring my detector out on that one if I can. If we can get the marshals in place, I've got a sneaky feeling these fields will produce some nice stuff. So I'm going to get the for the first time in about 5 digs, I'm going to get my own detector out and have a go. So that's how confident I am in the potential area and unearthing some decent finds on the day. However, there is another thing that we need to bring up. We have got to check these farms before we detect them, or have the organised dig group on them for green waste. Because green waste, folks, is not going away. It's getting worse and worse and worse. And this is going to be another episode of Detecting Talk in the near future about green waste, because I'm hearing now some real horror stories about local detectorists going out, detecting on new farms, and the whole place is completely ruined with green waste. Absolutely appalling. That bad that they just have to walk off the field because their detector is kicking off multiple times in one sweep, which tells me there's literally tons of the shredded aluminium and junk, batteries and everything else strewn across the farms, and it isn't getting any better. So remember, there is a hotline number. We give it to one of the green waste videos, the 0800 or 0800, I've got it wrote down somewhere, but it's an 0800 number. And that's a direct link to the Environment Agency where you can ring up and report green waste. I've told these guys to do it. I've given them the number over the phone and over social media. So let's hope you do it. What have you got to lose? These contractors shouldn't be spreading green waste on these fields. End of debate. You guys know that watch these films, that it gets right on my wick, knowing that these idiots are out there spreading this green waste all over these fields and potentially ruining any historical artifacts and coins that we could bring to light. And not only that, it's the environmental side of it, in amongst the food chain, etc, etc. It's plainly wrong, but the whole world's plainly wrong at the moment. There's too many people doing too many bad things in it, and this country's getting ever crammed with bad stuff, in my opinion. So we're going to have to check the farms out for green waste before we get the organised digs going. So we have to keep our fingers crossed that we don't visit the farm, introduce ourselves to the farmers and the landowners. They show us the fields, and then we ask if we can take a detector on just to scan over. We're not going to be digging any holes. We're not going to be taking finds away from anybody. We've got to scan over the fields to make sure it's free of green waste. Now, the horrible part of it is doing it and finding it. We'd be absolutely devastated to travel all the way up to these potentially good areas, turn on the machine and find it's full of green waste. But that's the gamble you take. Better doing it just one or two of us than the whole group going up and you all looking at me as if to say, I want my money back, or we shouldn't be here, I spent a day out and the farm's ruined. Just leave me in an embarrassed state, wouldn't it? So we're going to do that. We're going to check the farms for green waste, and so keep focused, people. There'll be another film coming up very soon, next couple of weeks, on the next Unearthed Organised Dig. I can't get my words out today. So keep watching, and thank you very much for your comments. Thanks for subscribing to the YouTube Unearthed channel, which is great for you guys to do that. And the next episode of Detecting Talk will be next week. We may be sort of slotting a film of detecting when we're away this weekend on our travels, so keep an eye out for that. And good luck out in the fields this weekend if you're out detecting. I'll catch you all very soon. Thanks for watching.